You know, it is coming into the fall of the year. There is, and for whatever reason, it's always sort of considered the beginning of a new church year, a time when we start to look around and see all of the different things that are going to be taking place in the church. And just a couple of Wednesday nights ago, we actually sort of started our new year at our church conference. We voted on a new budget for the coming year, and the church approved that budget. We were able to lower the amount that we felt like we could use to operate the church on for the coming year. So you'll be hearing more about that as we go forward. But also on that same night we had the nominating committee up here to give a report. They brought a list of committees and officers for the church to vote on, and they were voted and approved as well. That's the first time since I've been here that we've actually brought a complete list of committees and a list of officers and had the church vote on them. This is significant because one of the things that I'm hoping we can do over this year is reactivate some committees that haven't been meeting on a regular basis, that haven't been active. And I'm hoping we can get them going again in the church. You see, we are a congregational church. We do not have a governing board that takes care of all of the decisions of the church. There is a process where committees meet. They find things that within their committee structure to bring to church council. Church council brings those to deacons. Deacons bring those to the church in conference. And we as a congregation get to vote on and approve and ask questions about what goes on in this church. And sometimes it can be laborious in the way that things have to move through committee. Sometimes it can be frustrating. But it is always a good thing when all of us are involved in the work of the church and we do not leave it to just a few people. So very excited about what we're going to be doing in this new year. And certainly part of a new year is how do we make the best use of our time, of our talent, our energy, our treasures. How are we to use those for the very best to God's glory, to the mission of the church, to spread the gospel of Jesus Christ? And so over these next few Sundays, I'm going to be preaching on this very thing. Talking about, today's sermon is an introduction to the rest of the Sundays. I'll be talking about time. How do we use our time? What are the things that we do with our time that perhaps we aren't using them to God's glory? We'll talk more about that. Talent. What does talent mean? So many of us say, I don't have a talent. We talked about that in the ladies' Sunday school class this morning for a few minutes. I got them all worked up, as I do every Sunday morning, and then I walk out and I leave them arguing with each other. And so we have a lot of fun. But we talked about that a little bit. And we'll go over that some more as well. And treasure. What do we do with our treasure, our financial gifts? How do we present those in such a way? And what is it that God demands of us, of our time, our talent, and our treasure? We always seem to associate a tenth. That's the word that we use a lot in church life, a tenth. Give a tenth. The tenth is a tithe. That's what you are to give. And often, pretty much always, it is seen as a financial gift. A tenth of your finances you are to give to the Lord. I feel, and I believe I am backed up by Scripture on this, that tenth is more than our financial gift. It is all of what God has given to us. We are not just to give a tenth of our paycheck and then say, well, I'm done. You have time, you are to give a tenth of that. You have talent, you are to give a tenth of that. You have treasure, you are to give a tenth of that. And so how does that look? How does that work? And those are the things we're going to be talking about over these next few Sundays. This idea of a tenth is been in the Bible and been around for a very long time. If you go back to Genesis chapter 28, verses 20 through 22, this is the story of Jacob. Jacob is on a journey. He is out looking for a wife. And he has been traveling, and he has stopped for the night. And for whatever reason, he's taken a stone for a pillow to lay his head on. Now, there's a whole sermon there that one of these days I'll preach, and I'm looking forward to that. But for whatever reason, he took a stone and put it down and slept on that. And then he had dreams at night, and unusual and strange dreams. And I'm thinking, well, yeah, he was sleeping on a stone. What do you expect? But he has this dream that he sees a stairway from heaven and angels going up and down. And when he wakes up the next morning, he realizes that he has been in a holy moment with God. And so he declares the place where he had the dream, where he spent the night, is a holy place. Calls it Bethel. And he takes the stone that he slept on and pours oil on it and anoints it and says, this is the place where I encountered God. Here is where I can come to. Here I can remember that I had this encounter with God. And here's what else Jacob had to say about this encounter. Then Jacob made a vow, saying, if God will be with me and will watch over me on this journey I am taking, and will give me food to eat and clothes to wear, so that I return safely to my father's household, then the Lord will be my God. And this stone that I have set up as a pillar will be God's house. And of all that you give me, I will give you a tenth. Of all that you give me, I will give you a tenth. That idea of a tenth goes back to there. That is probably one of the first occasions that we have where we hear that term used. That idea of taking a tenth of what we have and giving it to God. Now, Jacob isn't talking about his financial resources necessarily. He is talking about everything, because he said, I recognize that God has given me everything. God, if you will provide food, clothing, safety for me, then out of that you have given to me, I will give back to you a tenth. So it wasn't just financial, a tenth of his clothes, a tenth of his safety, a tenth of his food, a tenth of his journey, a tenth of his money. He saw this as being recognizing that all things come from God, and that God would like to have those portion of those things back. Now, earlier this year, I did a Bible study by Adam Hamilton. In that study, it's called Enough. We did it on Wednesday night, and I used some of the illustrations and some sermons back in January, February, March time frame. This is one that Adam Hamilton did in a sermon, and he got this from another minister who got it from another minister, and sort of lost who the first one was, I believe, anymore. But the first time I saw this illustration, it moved me because it's a visual way to just see exactly what God is giving and what God is asking in this case. These apples represent, and there are 10 apples here, and these apples represent, as Jacob would say, all the things that God has given. Financial resources, food, family, clothing, opportunity, education, all of those things, talent, an ability to, we always think of talent as being able to play an instrument or sing in the choir or something like that, but there's so much more. Talent. How do we, God has given us talent, and varied talents, and what do we do with those? And that God has also given us, opportunities to use those talents and to use those financial resources. And so So all of these are the things that God has given to us. All of this, time and energy, treasure, money, all of this that God has given to us. All of these nine. God says, take these and use them. They are yours. Use them to better yourselves. Use them to bring joy to your life. Use these nine for your benefit. I ask that you take just one, a tenth, just a tenth of all that I've given you, just one, and give that back to me. Give this one to me. Give it to me fully and wholly, because look how much you have. Give me this tenth. And we certainly are anxious and willing and wanting to do that, but the car breaks down unexpectedly, and it's an emergency. And what am I going to do? God will know. It'll be okay. God, it's fine. Christmas is coming. I really need to get presents for everybody. I don't want anybody to go. I really haven't saved the way that I should. It'll be okay. It's fine. God will understand. Without. I have so much time, but I work all week. I'm tired. All I want is I just want down. I don't want to have to do anything. I don't want to give any more to anybody or anything. It'll be fine. I'll just take a little bit of time for myself. God will understand. I've got this great talent. I love working with wood, and I like building things for myself. And I know the church could use a few things. They could use for me to maybe make some furniture or do a little carpentry. But if I do that, I'm not going to. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. God will understand that I can't always use my gifts that He's given me. But I'll give. I'm still giving. I just won't be able to give as much. It'll be fine, God. I have this great gift that God has given me of a good attitude. I always see the positive in the world. I always see good things in the world. But lately, I have just been struggling, and I can't have a good attitude anymore. I don't want to have a good attitude anymore. And so I'm just going to, God, I'm not going to be able to have that good attitude for a while that you gave me. God, I really, finances, God. I don't know where the money is coming from. Jobs in jeopardy. Kids are demanding. College loans are coming due. God, I'm just going to take just a bit, God. It'll be okay. I'll try to make it up, God. And I'll try not to take too much, God. But I need just a little bit more. Things unexpectedly are happening. And Lord, I know you understand so much that God has given us. And God says, just that, give to me. And too often, so often, this is what we wind up giving to God. Core, just the very minimum, just the least that we can possibly come up with. It's not enough that God has blessed us and gifted us in so many ways. The very thing that He asked us to give back, we always seem to need a little bit more of and a little bit more of. Now, I don't do this to make you feel guilty or to in any way say that you are not doing enough. I'm giving you this illustration because as we go forward into this new church year, and as we are going to be talking about time and talent and treasure, I want us to understand not that we aren't giving enough, but how do we get to be able to use what God has given us and still give to God what God would like for us to give to Him? How can we take these three apples, we'll call them time. How can we take the time that God has given us, a third of what He has given us, the time that we all want more of, that there's never enough of. We can't ever, how many times do we say there's not enough hours in the day, there's not enough hours in the week, I can't possibly get it all done, I've got to shave a little bit off of here in order to do what I need to do here. How then can we start to understand that this is enough? This is what we ought to be able to make our lives work on what God gives to us. And talent. How do we take the talent? Time and talent often go together. And when we talk about talent, the ladies in the Sunday school class this morning, it was they were very clear. They said, we don't have talent. The church talent is what we equate it with. When we talk about talent in the church, we immediately go to about three things. Do you play an instrument? Can you sing in the choir? Can you preach? And then the fourth one is, can you teach? Those are the things that we consider to be talent in the church. And for many, that isn't what they have. But what they do have is things like a positive attitude. I see the world differently. I can smile when people are being mean to me. I can bring joy to people, encouragers. And I told them this morning in that class, more than once in my life, it has been changed by somebody who had the gift, the talent of being an encourager. When I am down, when I'm struggling, when I think nobody really cares, somebody will come up and just, how's things going? I really enjoyed what you said last Sunday. It meant a lot to me. A word of encouragement to me. People have that gift, and it is a talent. How can we use that in a way that we can use it in many ways during the week, and then also give it to God, that tenth that He wants as well? And then the ever-present treasure. The one that everybody dreads the preacher is going to be preaching on. Oh my, he's going to be preaching on money. He's begging me to give more money. I don't have any more money. You know that sermon. Treasure. How do we make the best use of the treasure that God has given to us? And God has given us great treasure. And how can we manage that so that we still have enough to give to God out of what God asked us to give? That's what these next Sundays are going to be about. Not about condemning you. Not about telling you you're not doing enough. Not about demanding that you do more. But trying to help all of us, myself included, to see how we can do that. How we can give to God so that we're not taking out of the core. So that we're not taking more than even what God would like for us to take. And understanding how God has blessed us. We're going to talk about those things. We're going to talk about what it means to serve on committees. And that's one of the reasons I'm doing a committee focus with this. Time. Where's a place to put your time? Well, committees is a place to put it. If you're a part of a committee, are you giving of your time to it? Talent. To be able to serve on a committee is a way to use the talents that God has given you in the church. Are you giving a bit of yours, a tenth of yours to God? Committees are going to be a part of what we talk about, how they function and why they're so important in the church. And it's why we're going to be getting a little word each week about the different committees of the church. I really hope that we can learn over these next couple of months how to not carve into God's apple. How not to use everything that God has given us and then use even more. This is enough, as Adam Hamilton would say. This should sustain us. This vine should carry us. And we should be able to give to God a whole apple, not carving into it, not taking from it, but giving it a whole apple to God. So this morning, the challenge I want you to start thinking about is, how do these affect you? How are you using time for God's glory? How are you using talent? And start looking and thinking, what is your talent? I do remember when I was going through the ordination process for ministry, and my ordination team said, what are your gifts? What are your talents? What are you good at? And I said, well, I don't have any. And they said, this meeting's over. When you understand how God has gifted you and talented you, given you talent, you call us and we'll meet again. But you go and figure that out. Took me about 6 months. I'm being honest. Took me about 6 months of praying and reading and looking and talking to people to realize, yes, God has given me talent and time. So I understand when you say, I don't have a talent. Well, hopefully, I want you to start thinking, what might be my talent? And think outside of music and choir and teaching. Think about, can you work on an automobile? Are you good at working on an automobile? It's a talent that God can use in this place. Are you a good administrator? Can you put things together and make sense out of a whole bunch of different stuff? Then God can use that. And so, how can you use your talent? And then last but not least, treasure. What are we going to do? How can we individually and as a church make the best use of what God has given to us? How can I make sure that I'm using my financial resources in such a way that I have that left over to give to God and I don't need to cut into it every week? So these are the things I want you thinking about. This is the way we're going to be doing this over the next few months. Time, talent, and treasure. And I hope when we get through with this series, we'll get to this point and we won't even want to cut into that. We wouldn't even think about cutting in to what God has asked that we give to Him. We'll have figured out how to make it and give to God as well. It's been a little bit different this morning. Y'all know I don't usually walk around this much. And so this feels good. I like walking around. How are you going to give to God? Don't give Him a quarter. Give Him the whole